Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes. Charizard EX is arguably one of the most powerful decks of all time, being able to self-accelerate energies to a 330 HP Pokemon with a favorable type, with a rare weakness, and of course its base 180 damage that scales as the game progresses all the way up to a whopping 300 plus damage is absolutely unparalleled. It's gained a couple new cards from Surging Sparks, so if you continue to watch this video, learn a little bit more about the deck list, you can see exactly which couple of cards I've added into my list from Surging Sparks and why it's changed how this deck might play a little bit. At the end of the day, it's still going to be Zard, but we got to upgrade it when we can, right? The list is available in the description. You can check that out. If you need any cards, check out Kayfabe Cards and PTCGO Store. And give this video a like. Check to see if you're subscribed. Let us know in the comments what you want to see from our future content. But let's jump into that deck list. I'm excited to showcase it today. So here we have it, Charizard EX Surging Sparks Edition. Let's get it. Let's go. What's new? Well, like I said, there's only a couple new cards, literally meaning 2 new cards that I've added into my list. So we're going to get into those in a second, and I'll explain why. So stay tuned, learn a little bit more about this deck list. Charizard EX, starting off with Charizard EX. So it's going to be the Pokemon that we're accelerating energies to, self-accelerating with its ability, and it can grab those fire energies out of the deck. People might be like, yo, why do you only play 5 energies? Because you literally need to attack with 1 to 2 Charizards per game. We have Super Rods, we have Night Stretchers that can get them back. Later on in the game, we can attack with Radiant Charizard. We're really trying to fit all those cool cards like you see Tera, Thornton, Briar, Canceling Clone, all those cards into the deck, because those are really what makes this deck a very powerful tech box. And you can search out all those cards with Pidgeot EX's Quick Search. So Charizard EX is going to be our main attacker, and we have a couple ways to improve our damage. So it improves as the game goes on, our opponent's knocking out our Pokemon. So we could have something out there like, let's say a Rotom, our opponent knocks it out. We go from 180 to 240. And if we're behind on prize cards, we can use Defiance Band. Now we're at 270. That's enough to knock out Pokemon like Sylveon, EX, a few other handful powerful Pokemon. But if you want to increase your damage even further, we can self-inflict ourselves with Dusclops or Dusknoir, popping our cursed ability, and either putting that damage counters on the Pokemon we're trying to knock out if it's a big Pokemon like Charizard EX, Hydreigon EX, whatever. Or we could put it on another Pokemon using maybe Dusknoir to knock out a single prize card Pokemon, and then getting that extra thing because our opponent's now drawn a prize card to increase our damage. So we got some cool things going on there. We're only going with a 2-1-3 because we really only need 1 Charizard in the deck to kind of work. And then we have Super Rod, Night Stretch to get them back. We have a Charmeleon just to maybe take some pressure off of our later Charizards. So if we go Charmander in play, we evolve Rare Candy Charizard, we get a Charmeleon out. If that one gets knocked out, we can just Arven, search for Night Stretcher, get back Charizard, and we're back in business. We have Pidgeot EX to search out whatever we want. You can see we have a lot of one-of techs. Maybe our opponent's at 2 prize cards. We're trying to win the game with that Briar. Maybe we want to use Turo to get back all of our 2 prizers out of play. So we have some options there that are really cool. Like I said, Dusknoir is going to be there to increase our damage of Charizard EX. And we also have a way to kind of pop multiple Pokemon in the same turn. I mean, draw a prize card with Dusknoir, activate Briar, all those cool things. And we'll kind of jump into the first new card here that we have, and that's going to be Precious Carrier, or Precious Trolley, I think it's officially translated. It's an A-Spec that's searchable from Arven, and you can search your deck for any number of basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. So one thing that I was thinking about when it comes to Charizard, because there's a lot of really powerful A-Specs when it comes to this deck, and that's really where the discussion is going to start off today. There's Prime Catcher, there's Unfair Stamp, we've seen Grand Tree, we've seen a handful of different things in Charizard. I mean, I even got day 2 at the European International Championships with a Hero's Cape in my Charizard EX deck. You can pretty much play any A-Spec in this deck. Precious Trolley, new card, Surging Sparks. You can grab Charizard, or Charmander, Pidgey, Duskull, and you can grab Rotom. Perfect 5 setup. And if you just have an Arven, I think you're putting yourself in a really good position to win this game. Because if you get that setup and then you're able to follow on top of it, but using instant charge, drawing 3 cards, maybe that Arven can also search for the 4 Steel Stone, you are ready to go. And I think about like how powerful an A-Spec might be. And Prime Catcher, sure, we can replicate that with Counter Catcher. We can almost replicate what we want with the Precious Trolley, with a Buddy Poffin. But between 4 Buddy Poffins, 4 Ultra Balls, 3 Nest Balls, a Precious Trolley, we should be able to get our deck kind of off the ground. And I think that a lot of the times when I lose games, I think about my Lima Special Event run, I lost my games when my deck was running a little bit slow, when I missed that first key turn setup. And if I look at the board of Pokemon, it's kind of like a pyramid where you want the base to be your most sound structure. And as the game goes up, you can kind of lose things out there. Pidgeot's really going to kind of give you what you want in between turns. But really, if you start off that base, it'd be fantastic to see exactly what we got going on. So that's one thing that I would look into is the Precious Trolley. The A-Spec slot could change for sure. We could also see something like Amulet of Hope. It's a new card as well. So the only reason why I didn't include Amulet of Hope, which we've seen in some Japanese lists, it says if this Pokemon is this attached to, if the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, search your deck for 3 cards and put it into your hand. In my case, I feel like if we've already got a Pokemon out there, we kind of search whatever we want. Your opponent can always boss around things, play a Jamming Tower, play a Lost Vacuum, and play around whatever you want. So I think that that's really a case where Amulet of Hope doesn't necessarily cut it for me, whereas Precious Trolley does. So Arven can search out a lot of things. Another thing it can kind of search out for is the new Tera Orb. So taking a cue from Terapagos, Dusknoir, it's one of those things where we have search your deck for a Tera Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. We could search your deck for a Charizard. It's similar to an Ultra Ball, except we don't have to discard things. So we now have an additional 1-of card that can search out our Charizard. So we can search, let's say if we have the rare candy in our hand, we can search Tera Orb. We don't have to discard things with Ultra Ball, making some gameplays a little bit less resource intensive. So I think some of these stage 2 Pokemon EX Tera decks might want to run Tera Orb. I think it's interesting. And we can see that there's a handful of different cards that we've added in here. One thing that I've included is Canceling Cologne. Canceling Cologne is really going to be allowing us to get through Cornerstone Ogerpon EX, Milotic EX, even Pikachu EX, so we can get through its abilities so we don't have to 2-shot it. So giving us some more options across the board there. Charizard overall hasn't really changed too much. Like I think a lot of the things like Rare Candy, Ultra Ball, Buddy Poffin, Nest Ball, the Super Rods, like all those are staple cards. Things that I could see adding back in here would be maybe a Cleffa, but I figured with the Precious Trolley, if we're searching for Rotom, Charmander, Pidgey, Duskull, and that's depending on whatever our starting Pokemon is, we might not necessarily use Cleffa if we're going for a Rotom V strategy every single game. I might actually want to up my Rotom V counts. And we're going to also have to see how the metagame plays out to see if Cancel and Clone does matter, because sometimes those decks where we are trying to cancel and clone and get through, it might not matter. But I think it's cool enough to include right now with enough things that we have going on in our current metagame. So overall, this is my list. I'd love to hear some feedback on it. I think Precious Trolley is really cool as a card, and I'm excited to kind of showcase what this might be when I'm going to play some games with this on stream. We actually had, I think PJ played this against my Sylveon EX deck with the Precious Trolley and the Tera Orb as well. 2 cards that I think don't necessarily make or break this deck, but might make your setup go really well. We'll have to see how it goes. But let me close things out and see exactly where we're at there. And that's what we got going on for our deck today. Hopefully you've learned a few things about Precious Trolley and Tera Orb and Charizard. Again, it's only a couple card changes, but those couple card changes could be the difference between your deck setting up or not. And I think it's really those things where I haven't really heard of too many other people talking about it now. So maybe it's something that maybe I've missed. Maybe I'm one of the first people to talk about it. I think it's a really cool take on the deck. And as a Charizard fan myself, I think I brought it to 3 separate day 2s. I think, trying to remember exactly, played it I played Charizard to a handful of tournaments, saw success with it. And it's one of those things where maybe I'll see success with it again. I really like how these cards are, but I'm going to definitely go to Kayfabe, pick up a Precious Trolley at the very least, add that to my A-Spec collection as possible choices. And that's really what this video is about. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. If you're trying to improve your game, maybe run through some gameplay. I mean, all these decks are available when PTCG Live drops. Also, when it's going to be available on the tabletop simulators like Tabletop PvP. So if you ever want to get in some gameplay with me or try to up your game or prepare for Sacramento, any upcoming tournaments, hit me up for some coaching at metafy.gg/@ZachLesage. That being said, stay tuned for more great content, including tabletop content featuring these decks. I'll catch up with all y'all later. Peace out and have a great one. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.